Okay, so as I was saying, we were covering this one hex. This is the map of the different caves in this one hex, and I went down the shaft to danger, which led them to my next map. So this is the map of the hex below. So they entered here and found their way to the Amazon village. The Amazons believed that they were in Tartarus, and there they were able to get a new guide, a guide who knew their way around this hex, knew about the different caves, where to go. And if you see it goes down, there's a crawl that goes down to the next hex, and then there's a squeeze that goes down to a different hex. And here you can see this has a walk that goes to another hex there. And here's a crawl that goes to another hex, and a walk that goes to yet another hex. So back to the hex map. Say different hexes, different places. Okay. So they went into this other hex. The folly of eating hours always curves back on itself if it can, but never kills people while listening. So this one had more caverns, and I would describe each of these caverns they're going through, and eventually they reached the non-men village. They didn't reach this non-men village. They reached a different one that was on the river. This non-men village is right there next to the rift, just like the other one was. And there was also, this way was the way to the Hunger and to the Halflings. The Pilgrimage of Hunger, which is one of the modules I ran, and the Halflings. I showed you the Halfling village map later. And so here's another map showing different caves. This one's along the rift. If you go this way, it goes to the non-men village. And so in this, I had and there it goes to the Darrows. So here's another map. The lost colony of last chances always keeps its roof curves low, but never drops monsters from above. So this is a place I never have encounters have the monsters dropping them from above. This is the map that goes to the Halflings, which was their destination. And there is the cave that the area that the Halfling village map was in. You see that there's a breakdown that leads into it. There's a squeeze that runs out of it. There's a sump that runs out of it, and there's a breakdown that leads out of it. Yeah, so they came from up here and came this way to there. And they went this way, which led to the Pilgrimage of Hunger, which anyway, and so there's this cave that's separate from each other. Nothing's connected to it. That is the 5-mile waterfall. And you can see there where it says Halflings, this is where it passes through that hex. Okay, the Burrows of Last Chance. Yeah, so this is the non-men village where the river and the rift are near each other. It looks like they cross each other, but actually the rift goes under the river. And there it goes to the Halflings. And to more non-men. Okay, the strange delve of nightmares and dreams always snags your clothes if it can, but it never lets sane people sleep without nightmares. Yeah, so this is a cave that they entered from here, and if they'd stayed to the walks, they could have walked around it and gone around it completely. But they didn't walk. They took some of these breakdowns until I reached the Darrows. Now, the Darrows is one of the major races of Babes of the Earth. And they are insane dwarves, basically, with some techno ability. Now, it goes to different other hexes you can see here. And there's some clue about who's on that hex, and this one led to a module which I ran. Now, this is the map of that from the Darrows. Now, they could have spiraled around. If they'd gone that way, they could have spiraled around through all these walks that would eventually lead to the module, the Hammers of the God, which they didn't reach, but they didn't spiral around on the walks. They crawled and slithered and climbed their way through here. And all these caves, because of the way, this is Tombs of the Long Forgotten Good, always has a vertical letterbox exits the roof and never reaches the lantern. So all of these caves had a letterbox squeeze in the floor. A letterbox squeeze is so small you can't even slither like a snake. You have to tilt your shoulders in order to fit through this thing. It had one of these in the floor, which would lead to the ceiling of the chamber below. And so, so all those chambers were connected in a row like that with letterbox squeezes, but it also had a walk where you could walk, theoretically, to the Hammers of the God. Yeah, the Hammers of the God was a module I ran. I've reviewed it in the past, so you'll have to look at an old video, and I showed you the maps with my video for it. It's a pretty interesting dwarven tomb. It's nice. And this way leads to a really long series of letterbox squeezes that leads to Dvargir City. Dvargir are like the dark dwarves. Now that is right here, Dvargir City. See, there's the Darrows, the Hammer, that's Hammers of the God module, and Dvargir City. It has the crack going through it, the Great Rift it's called. And if you keep following the rift, it goes down. If you keep, this is a sideways map. So up is up, down is down, and left and right are east and west. So if you keep going down, straight down, it leads to, this is the map of that hex, where the fungal path runs through that. If you look here, see, the fungal path is running through that hex. It's labeled Reptiloid Cave. The failed escape of forgotten friends always has smooth vertical routes with hacked handholds, but never lets a rope hang without abrading it. So if you go down the fungal path, it leads to the Reptiloid Cave, which was a pretty cool subsection of a module called Weird New World, and they didn't find it when I ran that module, so I put it in the Underdark, because it's basically a cave, and had quite some fun with that. And it continues down to here, where it's a series of caves here. They're connected by sumps if you go one direction, and by crawls, chimneys, if you go the other direction. And there's some traverses. And eventually it goes down to the next hex. Now this hex, Springs of the Beasts of the Abyss, always wants to drink blood and drinks any that spills, but never breaks the lantern if it falls. None of the lanterns fell, so I didn't get to show them that the lanterns don't break. But yeah, coming down from above, it leads to this series of caves. And one of the caves is the giant from Deep Carbon Observatory, which they dropped down here, but they didn't actually kill it, so it was there. They had to fight it again. And there's also this area I populated with fossilized vampires. As part of the mythology of Patrick Stewart, he has, at some point in the past, there were lots and lots of vampires, so much that they formed a fossilized lair, and so I had, if blood drips on them, the fossilized vampires come to life. And so it got to be a pretty hairy thing, but later they went back to, for the purpose of killing vampires. And this one room was full of mirrors. I was all set to use this as a portal to run Red and Pleasant Land, but then the big Zack shitstorm happened, and so we didn't get to do that, which I was kind of relieved at, but also disappointed. Okay, so that's the end of this. I hope you enjoyed this.